started. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Today, as we were just talking about, is the new moon in Virgo. It is opposed by Neptune in Pisces. And Lucy and I were talking about it, just like the collective energies that were going on. And it really felt like a call. It felt like a call to step into your sacred purpose and your duty. And it's just like, there's no more excuses. I was just talking about this 2 seconds ago. It's like Spirit is pulling us all off the bench. And it's like, it's go time. And a lot of times people are like, well, I don't know what my purpose is. How do I figure it out? And so enter Lucy. Like, I've got like a bunch of things that I do, but Lucy is really a soul purpose expert. So I really wanted to bring this to you guys. I really wanted to provide you with this resource. This amazing person that I'm so happy to know and have in my orbit. Thank you, Lucy. So Lucy, tell us a little bit more about you.
Well, thank you for that wonderful introduction. So I work as a mentor and an energy healer. And the goal of my work is to really walk hand in hand with people who want to live in harmony with their mind, body, and soul. And so people who want to really dive deep into what their soul purpose is and how that affects creating a meaningful life and what that looks like for them. So it will be unique for every person. And so that includes a multitude of different approaches, but really the core essence is walking the dharmic path and living in harmony with your soul, with your soul calling and living in alignment in a way that feels good, in a way that feels true for you.
Yay! That's excellent. So one of the things that Lucy and I were talking about is that, we always get this idea about like, what is our purpose? We feel like we have this big thing that we have to do. And like, we have this idea of dharma or which is, they tend to be calling the opposite of karma. So I know that you have a really interesting way of defining dharma. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to. So a lot of the time when we read about Dharma or we start to engage with the concept of Dharma, right, we talk about it and we engage with it as the path of right action, which, yes, okay, that's correct in many ways. And in many ways, that's how we've learned to engage with it in the Western world. But to be honest with you, the concept of Dharma is so vast. It is so vast that it doesn't necessarily define as just one thing. So when I look at Dharma in terms of what I've learned, what I've experienced, Dharma is both the essential nature of our reality and the teachings and the practices that allow us to recognize that essential nature. So when I talk about Dharma, I talk about it as a deep understanding and an awareness of the beauty of who we truly are. Yes. So it is the sacred path of honoring our truest calling. And by doing that, by honoring our truest calling, we are serving all beings in the universe by playing our true role. So it is a vast concept, but essentially Dharma starts to become visible, it starts to become tangible in a person's way of being. So we start to see it, we start to experience through our actions, yes, through our responses, through our choices. And that also means in the choices in the words that we use in conversation, but also the words that we use with ourselves.
Yes, and much, yes.
Yes, and the way that we choose, the thoughts that we think, what we think, what we feel. That's all part of it. That's all part of Dharma.
Okay, so let's break it down for somebody. If you had to explain this to a 5-year-old about like Dharma, like 15 seconds. Dharma shows a way for people to live and conduct their lives with purpose. I love that. I love that. And for me, I think for me, the idea of Dharma and what that feels like for me is where you are living in alignment with your fullest and highest expression.
Absolutely. Totally. Yes.
So I know that, and with that, adds a lot of nuance to it. What do you think are some misconceptions people have about their Dharma and purpose?
Absolutely. I mean, some of the misconceptions, certainly in my experience about Dharma, first of all, is that it is is that you have to subscribe to a particular religion or a faith.
Oh, right,
And
right.
you don't, because it is a way of being, right? It's not about a particular sect or religion that you need to learn or study. When it comes to purpose, the biggest misconception that I see, and this is actually a misconception that I used to subscribe to, was that it was about your job, right? That your purpose is your job or your career that you choose. Now, of course, in many ways, your job or your career absolutely can be a vehicle for your purpose to come through you, for sure.
Yes.
But purpose is a way of being rather than a series of jobs and tasks that you're required to do to reach a certain level of spiritual achievement, right?
I love what you said right there, that purpose is a way of being. You know, and I feel like we move, as we're moving on our journey, we start to go through those, I'm going to say levels, for lack of a better word, where we're going from the level of knowing, right? So we're going from knowing to doing to a beingness, you know, which is, I think there's like that difference that you were saying there. It's like, it's not what you're doing, it's who you are being, how you're showing up in the world.
Totally. It's how you show up. And, you know, it's how you show up in the world. It's how you show up in relation to other people, how you care for others. But it's also, and I always bring it back to this, it's also how you show up for yourself.
Yes.
You know, how are you being in relationship to yourself? And I think we were talking about this the other day, Daniela. It was Mark Jones who said, and I've got his quote here, which I love it. He said, "The individuation of the true self is not an external journey from shadow to light, from no one to someone. It is an internal journey to know the quality of your being so that you are able to move forward and live your life wholly and completely." So, you know, in terms of what we were saying, in terms of doing, you know, and the job, let's say, for example, or a career.
Yes.
You can be doing absolutely any job in the world, anything. You could be the president, you could be a CEO, you could be working in a post office, you could be a waitress, you could be an actor, whatever it is, and still living in alignment with your purpose. It doesn't matter what you do, it's how you are. It's how you utilize the wisdom that you have, the knowledge that you have, and how you show up.
I love that. So, I mean, like you said, a lot of people tend to think that their purpose is, how do I find my career? You know, what's my job in life? Like, how do I do that? You know, hi, Gemini. Do you see the comments on your screen too?
I can see, yeah. Hi, Gemini.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. So, how do we know? I mean, because yes, you can be an actor. I mean, it's not about your career necessarily, whether you're living on purpose and living in alignment with your dharma. But conversely, you could also be in a job, I guess, that is not necessarily aligned with that doesn't support your dharma. How do you know? Like, how do you figure out, like, that you are following and aligned with your dharma?
You know what? And that's such an important question. And I was thinking about this. In my experience, the first, often, not always, but often the first indication that we have as an awareness of what our dharma is or our purpose is when we are acutely aware that we are out of alignment. Right? That for me was the first. Yeah, that was the first
knowing what it
indication.
isn't. What exactly. It isn't helps you figure out what it is.
100%. And that for me was actually the first. That was the first jolt for me. And I say it was a jolt because it was. For me, it was a case of, and this is not the case for everyone, so this is in my experience. But in my experience, it was a case of what started to happen was my external world started to crumble. And it took a lot of cracks to start showing for me to then go, whoa, hang on a minute, what is happening? My external world is a reflection of my internal world. What's going on? So how do you know that you're on the path of your dharma, you're on your dharmic path? It's about having an intuitive awareness of your life. Okay, having an intuitive awareness of how often you find yourself in flow, in a state of flow, rather than resisting, and blocking your creative expression. Right. How often are you experiencing or allowing yourself to experience pure joy and bliss and synchronicity Hey, Sarah.
Yeah, we've got one of our other girls,
I'm just seeing
Sarah.
Sarah coming. Yay! Hi,
I
Sarah.
know. It's too bad that we can't go ahead and add her in here too. That would be
I know.
amazing.
Oh, it's so
But yeah, I
beautiful.
feel you on that. I think because I think I mean, you touched on something that was a major key, that sometimes it takes knowing what it isn't to figure out what it is. And how we figure out how it isn't, like in my case, it was a lot of that too. It was a lot of, me getting evicted from my life.
Wow. Yeah, and that's such a strong metaphor. Yeah, I
Hmm.
totally hear you there.
It's like,
Yeah.
Daniela, if you're not going to make the decision, I mean, we're going to keep inching you along, but at some point you're going to be like ejected from your life. And
Okay.
it's happened. Apparently I'm a little stubborn. So
No.
it's
Yeah.
yeah, Spirit had to speak to me a few times. Sometimes he had to, like, first it was like, hey, Daniela, it's time. Then it's like, hi, Daniela, like, you ready? And it's like, Daniela. And it's
Yeah.
like, come the fuck on, Daniela.
Yeah.
And it's like, sometimes it's like, it took me a couple of times, I'll admit, and I have Pluto squared my nodes, so I tend to flip-flop a little bit between the two, trying to integrate all the stuff. So I feel like that for people who maybe aren't always connected with what being in the flow feels like, you can definitely feel what not being in the flow feels like. And that's like banging your head against the wall. It's that, like, oof, I get chills because it happened to me. Like, I remember I was standing outside of the door to my job and I was coaching myself to walk in the door. Like, from the anxiety, I'm just like, all right, Daniela, you just got to do this for 8 hours. That's it. And you got to break in between and you can catch your breath and we're going to do this. Ready? Go team. Like, I literally had to coach myself into the job. And
That's
at that point,
hectic.
yeah, I mean, come on. It took me, I mean, which is very indicative of like the Capricorn nodal axis and stuff. Like, I had a physical breakdown at one point that I had to finally like wise up and figure out that my life wasn't working. I wasn't living in alignment with myself.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really powerful story, and it just illustrates that sometimes it does take you that moment or a couple of moments
Mm-hmm.
of having your foundations really wobbly. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
very similar to what happened to me. I was in what looked like from the outside a very successful
Mm-hmm.
corporate job. But I started to gradually, it was over a period of a couple of years, so I too
Mm-hmm.
was fairly stubborn. I mean, all my aspects are fixed,
Humans,
so
right?
I'm like, yeah.
Humans.
But what happened to me is that all of the foundations of things like health and well-being, with my relationships, and certainly sort of my creativity or access to creativity, that all just started
Yes.
to completely crumble.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where I was, I had surgery and all sorts of things starting to happen.
Mm-hmm.
The key for me was that moment, or those moments of what seemed like chaos,
Mm-hmm.
were actually part of the dharmic path, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
They were vitally
Totally.
important for me to experience, because what that did, there is always a gift within shadow, always.
Mm-hmm.
And what that gift for me is it allowed me to recognize how I had been living my life completely disassociated from myself. I'd been
Yes.
watching my life from a distance.
I see you,
I wasn't,
Pisces.
yeah, very Piscean, but I wasn't actually present. I wasn't associated in my body. I was just like, oh yeah, I'm watching from out here, and in the meantime, abusing my body with
Mm-hmm.
food, with too much alcohol, all that kind of stuff, which was just totally not. That was not my dharmic path.
Yeah.
So it really is about having that intuitive awareness, and one of the key points to that is listening to the body, right? Learning to
Mm-hmm.
listen.
Yes.
Mm.
And I'm glad that you touched on that, because it is all related, the spiritual, the mental, the physical, the emotional. You can see all of that. Like, you can see spiritual imbalances reflected in the body. If you're not happy in your life, it shows on your body. You know, if you're not taking care, because it all, you know, works one into the other, like fortunately, unfortunately. But when we are in alignment, we can also see it in the body. We can feel it in the body. Yeah.
Yes.
So what are some of the ways that you feel, like how you can feel an alignment in your body? How do you feel alignment in your body personally? I know for everybody, maybe it's a little bit differently, but.
The way that I feel an alignment in my body is through a number of things. So it's through dance, physically
Yes.
expressing the body through dance, through movement. Now, it doesn't, you know, it can be any kind of dance, and I'm a huge fan of one-woman dance parties.
Yes. Girl, I feel you. I can't put
Through
music on while I'm doing my makeup because I stop doing my makeup and I start dancing.
Same,
I'll never get
same.
anything done.
It's through the deceptively simple art of breathing, right? Proper diaphragmatic breathing, breathing into the core of the belly, and just enjoying the simple pleasure of the peace and quiet and the stillness within the breath. And it's through eating high quality, nourishing food that is, you know, is healthy, that you can, because you can feel it. You know, that's one of the most important exercises that I learned when I first started doing my training, was how to question my body. What food do you want to eat? Is this right for you? What does the body say? No, don't eat it.
Girl.
Or yes, you know, and that was huge, because I you know, I had all these intolerances and I wasn't honoring them. I wasn't honoring what my body was saying. And then when I did, I started to listen to that. That's when I started to feel more in alignment, and my energy levels were better. I was sleeping better, all that kind of stuff.
I feel you on that, totally.
Yeah. And then, you know, for me, meditation is huge. It's a big one for me. It's a daily practice for me. It's very, very important. And yeah, I mean, alongside dance, I would just say, you know, one of the most important things to be in alignment is to be playful.
Yeah.
And to make play a priority in your day.
Yes.
You know, as we make exercise and nutrition and those things are all vital as well, but play, to be playful, my goodness. I mean, I think I've said before how when I first started on this journey of understanding my purpose and through my dharmic path, I can't tell you how fascinating it was and how liberating it was to relearn what play actually felt like for me, because I had to relearn what play was, you know, in a way that was healthy.
Yes, I feel you on that, because I think we were talking about this yesterday. Some people think of play as like, oh, maybe playing is, you know, playing with toys or doing these cartoons, and like, you know, it's not necessarily that. Play is like what feels good for you and what brings you joy, right? And that can be completely different from what everyone else is doing. You know, like, and I made the example, like, for some people, play is going out dancing and getting trashed and, you know, having a good time. There's no judgment on that. That's great.
Of course. Yeah.
But man, can I tell you that I love the moments sometimes when I'm just having my cup of tea in my favorite reading chair with my favorite book and just like, oh, like that's just so delicious for me. To take these moments of, because I'm always going, I'm busy. And it's like for me to take a moment just for myself to just be is like, that's playtime for me. And dancing is playtime too. I'm not going to lie. I love to dance. But, but it's also, there's different ways to express that play. Maybe playing for you is painting, right?
Yes,
singing in the shower could be a way that you play. Ooh, I see my friend Emily Caroline Moore signed on. I love to hit shit, you know, like boxing, kickboxing, you know, jujitsu. That's play for me. It's like party time. I used to call that my happy hour. It's like, you know, people would go on Friday nights to go drink. I used to go and hit shit. That was my happy hour.
And you know, but that is incredible, because it's so good. You know what I mean? You're releasing, you're engaging, you're working with that rage, in a really positive way.
Yes.
I mean, it's just fabulous. That's a brilliant idea. I'm going to try that.
Oh yeah, totally. I think everybody should try combat sports at least once in their life. At the very least, a boxing class. At the very least. You know, in jiu-jitsu, By the way, jujitsu is like choking people is amazingly therapeutic, and it's probably
Wow.
cheaper.
Oh, I
So
love it.
I know that you have the Dharma sessions coming up that you're starting out, the autumn training program. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Absolutely. So it is called the Dharma Sessions Autumn Training Program, and it's a program that's run over 12 weeks, and it is bespoke sessions to you. So these sessions meet you where you are. There's no expectation. There's no kind of prerequisite. The only thing that I ask is that people come to it with an open heart and with a willingness to play, with a willingness to kind of dive into their purpose and their Dharma. So what we do over a period of 12 weeks is we have 6 sessions one-to-one together, and then in between those sessions you get personalized journal prompts and worksheets that are specific to you in terms of where you are in your journey. And we work with a kind of a 5-path framework. So we work with the path to joy, the path of synchronicity, surrender, practice, and being. And it's such a beautiful, I'm extremely passionate about the work. It's such a beautiful voyage, if you like, to embark on together. And you know, it is a lifetime's work. So it's an amazing entry into the world of purpose and soul purpose. It's very nourishing. So it starts next week Sunday.
Yay! Oh, I also wanted to ask before I forget, because I promised this. You're going to give us 3 things that we could all do today to figure out what our Dharma is and to align with it.
Okay. So the first thing that you can do today is to connect to beauty. Right?
Yes.
Surround yourself with beauty. Now, whether that's music, whether that's nature, whether that's sensuality, or all of those things, whatever form beauty takes for you, immerse yourself in it as often as you can. Okay. So as we do that, as we immerse ourselves in beauty, it allows us to contemplate the notion that each and every one of us is designed to be in awe and wonder with the world.
Yes,
Right?
that feels good.
The second
Yes.
thing that we can do is to realign your energy, right? Now, as we've talked about already, the quickest and most effective way to do that is to be playful. So, you know, put in some music and dance around the room, or you know, go in and make yourself a cup of tea and read a good magazine. Or I spend loads of time on Pinterest. I mean, that for me is play. But
putting on my face is play for me too. I love getting dressed up and like, you know, get like the costume and the whole artistry of it. Like, I love that stuff. That's
amazing.
play.
Yes, get the wigs and, you know, just play and realigning your energy in that way, because it's raising the vibration, right? It is. We play, we're raising our vibration. Other ways to do that, of course, is meditation, exercise, working with Reiki, archangels, that kind of thing. What we're doing is we're recalibrating with love. Right? We're recalibrating our energy with love. And then that brings me to the third thing that we can do today is to use your mind to question, not to answer. Sounds a lot easier than it is, because the mind is amazing at giving us all kinds of options, right?
Oh yeah.
But one of the most potent and powerful ways to connect to your Dharma, to connect to your purpose, is to transfer the mental authority to your heart.
Yes.
And trust your inner truth to guide you. So trusting your inner truth in your heart rather than using your mind to make all your life decisions. Because the mind is not really designed for that. The mind is designed for strategizing and for questioning.
Yes. I'm with you on that. Who is it? I'm trying to remember her name. Oh, Byron Katie.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I love the work, because she teaches the idea of questioning your thoughts. You know, that whole part of the work is questioning your thoughts, because a lot of times we like don't believe everything you think, you know.
Oh, geez, tell me about it.
Yes. And so one of the major questions, I mean, if only one question you can ask your own thoughts is that true? You know, is that true? Can you believe that without any doubt that what you're thinking is true? You know, like, go ahead.
Absolutely. And also, just adding to that, when it comes to using the mind to question, it's a great way to be playful. It's a great way to enter into sort of your reality with a playful and a curious mind. So I wonder what it would be like if, or I wonder what would happen if, you know, starting to ask questions of your mind, to ruminate, to imagine, to use your imagination, allows us to enter into that quantum field of possibility with an essence of playfulness.
Yes, that field of possibility and expansiveness, you know? Yes, that feels so good. Totally. And I love also like what you said, like a lot of the ways that, because I remember that idea of questioning brought me back to another conversation we had about, you know, my inquisitive nature and the idea of purpose and dharma. And a lot of the things that I've been finding are parts of my dharma are the things that I used to do as a kid. You know, that I'm now like adultifying them in a way, you know, like it's purposeful. Before it's like, why are you asking so many damn questions, Danielle? Like stop. I can't really. Thanks for tuning in.
It's so important, and I'm really glad you said that, because one of the key things that I always say to my clients, and then I've done this with myself, when you are starting to connect to your soul purpose, call in your inner child, right? Let's say, for example, call in your 9-year-old you and talk to him or her. What do you feel like doing today? Or what did you love to do? What made you feel enlivened and kind of full of energy and so excited about life when you were 9? I tell you, and I promise you now, that is an essence of you that will never go away. That is infinite. That is an infinite essence of you.
I love that. And I think it's so great that you brought that up too with the inner child, because, you know, I feel like that Leo North Node has been, you know, it's been in the North Node in Leo for all of us, but it's also your actual natal North Node, which is amazing. And I love that. And I see that inner child in you. It's like, it's been calling us to, you know, bring up that inner child, that inner joy, that inner performer, to show up and stand out and be great, and like to feel comfortable in our specialness. You know, and to receive.
And to embody that courage.
Yes.
So to really embody the courage to do that.
Yes, because it takes a lot of courage. I mean, for a lot of you out there who, you know, maybe might be starting out on a new venture, or maybe are thinking whether or not, you know, you should do that blog or open that business or take that leap. You know, yes, absolutely. Do it. And pull on that Leo-ness, that Leo courage, and to show up and to shine and know that you're worthy of that, and that, you know, you're amazing, and we need you to do that. That's why you're here.
Absolutely.
Do you guys have any questions? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Lucy.
No, I was just going to add to that and say, you are, you know, as a human being, none of us are serving anyone by being small, you know, by playing in the shadows, by you stepping into your courage and feeling what you feel and doing it anyway, right? So in honoring the feelings, that's really important, and doing it anyway and showing up, wow, that turns on the light for others to do the same.
So much, yes.
Such a gift. And you know what? Do it anyway. Show up and do it. I'm getting all emotional.
I know.
Show up and do it, because you have no idea how many people are benefiting from that energy that you are putting out there. It's so important.
It's like, are you trying to tell me something?
Remember what you said earlier?
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly been a lot of my journey too. It's me like not totally being, you know, like I've always been wanting other people to shine, you know, like I didn't want to put myself out there. I'm like, I prefer being behind the camera than in front of the camera, you know, but it's like, God's like, okay, we're coming off the bench, girl. It's time. Hi, Sue. Good to see you. Oh, so glad to see you tuning in. Man, I wish we could just have like a party with everybody so I could see everyone's face. That's so awesome.
Maybe that's the next thing that they'll bring in on Instagram, is you'll be able to do like a whole
like a quad
group?
At least. Like a quad at the very least.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Oh, Meg, we're going to have to talk offline. And I'm gonna have to look at your chart or something. I have to see why we're like twinning right now. Awesome. Anybody have any questions in there? Because I try to keep them to about 30 minutes so that, you know, they're not super duper long. I don't see anything coming up. So just recap your Dharma sessions things for me and how they can find out more information about you.
Cool. So Dharma sessions, if you want to find out more information, you can go to my website. It's luciannechard.com/Dharma sessions, or just luciannechard.com, and that's there. You can look me up on Facebook at luciannechard, or here on Instagram, of course, at luciannechard, and there's the link to join there. It starts next week, Sunday, so that's the official opening, Sunday, 16th September. We have an opening ceremony. I like to keep my groups, my circles small, so, you know, have a look at the website, have a read, have a think if it's for you. And I always say with all my work, you know, it's very much about trust your inner guidance and listen to your heart. And if it feels right for you, it would be an absolute honor to share the work with you. So yeah, check out the website, check me out here on Instagram, and all the links.
So this is just for a small group. You work with them individually. You bring them through the different steps, like the 5 paths, and the theme this time is recalibration, right?
That's right. Yeah. So what I like to do is I like to run. So this one is actually as we almost reach autumn equinox, right? Then I'm going to run it again on the spring equinox next year, and I like to really feel into the theme of what's coming through. And for me, it feels really strongly about recalibration. So I think with the last series of eclipses, what a lot of us have experienced was a sense of metamorphosis, yes?
Yes,
and so we've come through, we've come through the chrysalis, and now it's about recalibrating. So there's a gentleness to recalibration. It's about, we look at, you know, what we're looking at is some of the old outdated narratives that no longer fit the skin that you're in.
Yes.
We create new narratives.
So much freaking yes. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. It's like people, if you were feeling like you were cocooning and you were growing and your life was falling apart, and now we're out being full butterfly mode, and we're like, oh shit, none of my clothes fit anymore. You're walking around with these big old wings being all wonky and stuff. And you're like, what the hell happened? And it's like, and now your clothes don't fit. Your old life doesn't fit. Maybe your old friends don't fit. Maybe the clothes you used to eat don't resonate with you anymore. So now you have to change your diet. And I've been seeing this a lot with this Virgo season. It's been a lot about purging and getting rid of. Girl, let me tell you, I have gotten rid of like 3 bags of clothing. Like crazy. And it's just like, and I had to, and there's some things that like, it was almost like a feeling of, like I wanted to keep it around because I've had it for so long. And I'm like, no, this does not fit my new life or my purpose anymore. Bye, bitch. You know, and that's been with everything in my life. Like everything in my life. It's like food that doesn't resonate. Bye, bitch. People that are not aligned. Bye, bitch. In the best way, with love and light.
Of course. Yeah, with grace.
with grace. You know, I got to pull in that Libra grace. But, it's just like a lot of, and we have to be okay with that because it's not anything personal. You know, there's some people that are going to come into our lives and they're going to flow out of our lives and come back in and flow out. And we need to stay wavy with it, you know? And I think that's where we bring in the Pisces. We bring in the Pisces by staying in flow and allowing that, allowing things to come and things to go. And having the discernment with the Virgo to know which one is which.
Oh, how beautiful is that? Oh, I love it.
Yay! Yes. It's so much yes. So much yes. So that's what I'm feeling into right now. Like I'm feeling in this numinous space and just really like tapping into my spirit. And if you guys are having some difficulty with maybe letting things go or figuring out what resonates, there's an amazing book called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. And if you've have you read that one? It's amazing. It's amazing. And it talks about just keeping the things around you that bring you joy. Only keeping those things around you, whether it's clothing, whether it's like I have my crystals. I love my crystals. Yes, Kimberly. I have my whole little fun bag. I got my essential oils that, you know, I have like my own things that they're just like, they give me life. And I only want things around me right now that give me that life. You know, so if there's that old ratty sweater that doesn't feel like that, and it doesn't feel yum, by all means, please let it go. Let it go. And that allows, and what I'm realizing even more of is that it creates space to invite other things into my life that really resonate.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. And you know what, Danielle, it's so powerful what you're saying, because we do the same thing with the stories that we tell ourselves.
Yes!
We hold on. We hold on to them, and the beliefs. We hold on to them because we're used to them. And we think, oh, but if I let that part of my identity go, who will I be? Or how will I be perceived? And it's the same thing.
Girl, I promised I wasn't going to cry today. Stop.
Because it makes the space for the new, for the graciousness to come in. It creates space for that heart resonance to really begin to open up. Yeah.
Yes.
It's so powerful. So that decluttering and it's sort of, if you're taking things apart, right? And it's decluttering and clearing space, both physically and emotionally and mentally as well.
All of that. Yeah. That was a major key right there. I mean, that for real. Because I'm thinking about, just in my own personal experiences, how many outdated beliefs I held on to about myself that only existed to keep me from living in my fullest and highest expression. That's the only reason they were there, to keep me small. Totally. And I held on to them because it felt safe. It felt comfortable. It was familiar. Just like that old ratty sweater.
Exactly.
That doesn't even fit. I don't even look good in it like that. And it's just like, come on, let it go. Let it go.
Exactly. And we do the same, you know. I think it's such a great analogy and a great metaphor, because we do the same thing with our thoughts. You know, I think it was Elizabeth Gilbert who said in one of her books, I can't remember which one, but she made such a beautiful comment, and she said, you know, choose your thoughts, and if you have a thought that really doesn't fit you anymore, toss it out like you would an old pair of leggings that just look tatty and gross. I don't need that thought. That thought makes me uncomfortable. That thought makes me unhappy. Throw it away. You don't need that thought. You can change it. And so that's what we work on. That's how we work together. And everything, and I always like to say this, everything that I use, every single tool and technique that I use in my work, I have used on myself.
Yes,
to overcome my own. Oh, yeah, I mean, yes. My life is very different now, in a good way, in a positive, beautiful way, than what it was 8 years ago when I first had that first jolt, that first kind of reality check of, whoa, hang on a minute.
That sounds like Saturn return time, huh?
I think it was actually, I think you're right.
Rounded?
Yeah, it was around about then, yeah.
Oh, Saturn, that little devil. I have a love-hate relationship with Saturn.
I have Saturn in Virgo, so yeah.
Oh, fun times. Awesome. I don't see any questions coming through, just lots of hearts. Thank you so much for the love, you guys. If you guys want to find out more about Lucy, definitely go and check her out on Instagram, on her website at lucyannchard.com, and you can find out more about the Dharma sessions there. And we're actually going to go ahead and post it. I'm hoping that this records and it'll allow me so I can go and put it back up on IGTV or something. But if not, we'll have a recording available on Facebook and YouTube and all other stuff. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much. Sending you so much love. Bye.
Lots of love. Bye.